That's what I want you to follow.
Who is the car crash cackler? To the G, man, who you think it gonna be? And we back with another twist turn story, ripped straight out of the headlines with Who is the car crash cackler? April 10th, 2022, Farmington, Illinois. Stephanie Melgoza's morning started off as any typical day. She was a 23-year-old soon-to-be college graduate from Bradley University in East Peoria. Not much care in the world for the last month of classes and courses. Just a weekend of partying, and tonight would be nothing different, even on this Sunday. Stephanie planned on meeting some friends later at the famous Full Throttle Saloon that evening. But before then, she was partying and drinking at Tavern 41. Not wanting to miss out on any of the festivities, Stephanie left Tavern 41, got in her vehicle, took a few sips from her personal vodka that was later found in her vehicle, and barreled it to full throttle. Stephanie felt that she was in all her right faculties and could make the trip there. Zigzagging and barreling down the quiet, seemingly deserted streets, more than double the speed limit, Stephanie didn't have time to react to anything that could have happened, and did. Local law enforcement caught up to Stephanie near the tragic scene, belligerently inebriated, talking to herself. The brave police that just witnessed the devastation of Stephanie's blindly intoxicated actions were faced with the difficult task of maintaining their professionalism in the next part of their job, which was to field test Stephanie's sobriety so they could arrest her immediately. Placing Stephanie in the back seat of the squad car, deputies noticed glass and blood spatter on Stephanie's sweater. When asked about it, Stephanie feigned indifference. Officers Mirandized Stephanie and asked her what happened, to which she replied, "I almost made it here, but a person came out of nowhere and hit my car." This was just the beginning of Stephanie's unhinged commentary that evening. But what she would later do would add salt to the fresh wounds of everybody involved and even the whole community. Stephanie would laugh and joke during the sobriety test and would fail every test miserably, from the balance test to the breathalyzer test. Stephanie blew a .268, over 3 times the legal limit, and was placed under arrest immediately. As part of the procedure, Stephanie was taken to OSF St. Francis Hospital to get her blood sample to match the breathalyzer's results. During this process, Stephanie would float in and out of her intoxicated haze to sing songs and tell the arresting officer about her upcoming trip to Las Vegas and what she'll do as soon as she gets there.
I'm going to start off with 2 Long Island.
Unable to contain his quiet composure any longer, the arresting officer reiterates again the severity of Stephanie's actions this evening to no avail. Stephanie continues to sing and fade back into her incoherent haze. Stephanie was booked into the county jail on charges of 2 counts of aggravated DUI death and 2 counts of aggravated with reckless driving, with her bail set at $150,000. Stephanie quickly and quietly bonded out by paying 10%, which was only $15,000, where she would remain on an in-home monitoring, awaiting trial. Following the news of Stephanie's release and upcoming plans to attend graduation, the students of Bradley University would protest and picket to show the school board just how disgusted they were by Stephanie's actions. Stephanie wouldn't be able to walk down the stage to receive her degree, but 7 months later in February, she would be walking down the aisle to her new husband and pregnancy. And 2 months after that, on April 27th, Stephanie will go into court for sentencing, effectively trying to close one chapter of her life to start another. That's right, sentencing. Stephanie took the first deal on the table, which secured her not spending the rest of her life behind bars, and awaited her court date in the comforts of home. The families of the couples that Stephanie hit, Andrea Rosewick, 43, and Paul Proant, 55, described them as loving and giving to the community, and wanted the max penalty applied in this case. Stephanie herself cried apologetically to the families and threw herself at the mercy of the judge, tearfully conveying her remorse and how this was a lesson she wants to teach others in the future. Also claiming to not have had a single drink since the incident. The judge soon after sentenced Stephanie to a combined total of 14 years in the maximum state prison, with credit for a year time served on her in-home supervision. The families of Andrea and Paul felt it was a miscarriage of justice, wanting steeper penalties for Stephanie, but the judge was quoted saying, "What is the appropriate punishment? In order to deter other people, and what is the rehabilitative quality of the person that's being sentenced?" Okay, man, like I said, another one full of twists and turns. Now, the first twist and turn that had me all messed up was she actually literally drinking and driving from one bar to the next or one saloon to the next? The other one that had me messed up was, how are you going to be driving almost 75 to 90 miles an hour, hit two people, and not even notice? And say, I think I hit one. I'm not sure I hit two people. There's no way I hit two. That's wild. Another thing, you ever notice in accidents like this that happen, DUIs, like two people could get hurt, three cars completely smashed, totaled, and the driver walks out with barely any scratch, cuts, or bruises? I'm not saying I wanted anything to happen to Stephanie, not at all. Whatever the law applies and feels is appropriate, that's okay with me, I don't care. But what I'm trying to say is, how come the person who inflicts the most damage gets hurt the least? Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about that or what you guys think. But a very tragic story for everyone involved, even down to the students at Bradley. Like, I could totally see why they wouldn't even want their graduating picture be next to someone and be remembered with that person in their class. Like, we don't all represent this person. We all don't feel that way. Totally makes sense. Now, do I feel like that she got the appropriate punishment for the crime? Kinda, not really. Now, I don't want her to get the max life in prison. I don't want her to get any time. I don't want anyone to get time. But what I'm saying is that, how can you be on a house arrest for 1 year, get pregnant, get married, and have your whole situation set up for when you come home after 14 years, whatever the judge was going to say, and two people have lost their lives? Within 1 year, you've got everything set up, and that just doesn't sit right with me. And another thing, everybody's so focused and hung up on her laughing and cackling or whatever you want to call it during the field sobriety test. And I feel like that was just inebriation mixed with nervousness. Now, some of you guys want to think that she's maybe heartless, or some of you guys want to think that maybe she just was inebriated. Now, let me know in the comments, do you think she was heartless, or do you think she was inebriated? And that's going to be the end of this one, man. And if you tuned in for the whole thing, that means you putting some paint where it ain't. And for that, you need to be thanked. I know there's 10 other streamers out there doing it like me, but...
I'm maxed out.